You've graduated. You have a manuscript or pipe dreams of becoming an author. What's next? Now's the time to take a hard look at a romanticized profession. A successful writer and a fledgling one reveal the true difficulties that lie ahead for aspiring writers.
I think it's vastly different to write for yourself and to be a writer. I think to be a writer, you have to declare yourself as engaging in a lifelong activity that you take as seriously, even when it's not paid, as if it were a job. When I always loved literature, loved books, and I knew I wanted to be a teacher and nothing else. That's all I've ever wanted to be, is a teacher, because I wanted to be around books. And but when I decided that I wanted to write, I had to change my life. You can say, well, I keep a journal and I write down my thoughts, and and someday I'll write a book. That's not being a writer. Being a writer entails the use of the word being. And that means declaring that a certain portion of every day of your life is going to be dedicated to, first of all, the study of your craft, reading not just for pleasure, but reading as a writer. Like, how do you do a flashback? What is poetry made of? What are the elements of prose? Those questions. And then the second thing is devoting a portion of your valuable time on a regular basis to improving your craft. And so I know those sound boring, and people want me to say, oh, one day I woke up and I had been touched by a supernatural creature that gave me inspiration, and I began writing. No, I wrote bad poems and bad prose for a number of years and kept reading and understood the difference. That I just really think you have to decide. And once you've made the decision, you're a different kind of writer. If you say, I want to write books that sell, you're a different kind of writer than the one who says, I want to write books because the world needs to hear my vision. They need to see what I have imagined.
So, writing, I feel like, is a discovery constantly, or it should be, and the discovery of like the self or the world around you. I think it should reveal something that is previously unknown. Yeah, it's definitely a need to understand. Just understand not only emotionally but intellectually why people are and like what's affected them to react to certain situations in their lives. When I come away, go into a story and I find something that shows a certain perspective or like a certain insight that I've never thought about before, that blows my mind. I'm really attracted to that because that gives me fodder for, I don't know, it ignites my neurons in a certain way it feels good.
All I know is this, that I am psychologically, spiritually, if that's possible, and physically dependent on my writing life, that I have had to give it up at times due to hardship or other things, and I have felt a need to come back to it, that I would do it even if I didn't make a single penny. Like 5 people in my entire writing career that were able to give up their jobs and just write. One of them was John Irving, The World According to Garp. One day he was an adjunct professor at Iowa. Then he wrote The World According to Garp. It sold 8 million copies in the first printing, and then he gave up his jobs and just wrote. So there's been a few. I've been rewarded in other ways. I've gotten everything I've gotten in my career because of the books I've written, but the books have not made me independently wealthy. I wrote for 8 years, publishing a poem here and there before my first book was considered for publication, my first little book of poems. 8 years. And then it took me 4.5 years to write the novel and another 2 years to get it published. So this is not like overnight success. And so, no, I had no idea when I was working on those things that they would become books or that anyone else would want to read them. But the point was that once I declared myself a writer, and saw to it that I was improving my sense of the craft and the art, nothing could stop me.
So I feel like writing helps me it helps me discover not only myself but the world. Like it helps me understand what's going around me and around everybody else, and kind of it helps to understand um, just people in general, about the human condition and like how people interact with each other and how we're not all out on the street trying to like kill each other, because why not? Like it's amazing to me how people can live together and be civil. Like it's I mean there's so many places in the world that don't live like that, and here I just find it bizarre that in the US, I mean, it's just like we're so granted with so many benefits, yet nobody's happy. I think that's really interesting.
So, what is a life of satisfaction? A satisfying life is not getting up expecting to have the rewards, but getting the rewards for something that you would do anyway.